Welcome to the Spotlight today, and today we are looking at the research into student wellbeing online support tools and how they're integrated into the counselling service with Kelly Hester and Geraldine Gilroy. Take it away, guys. Thanks a million.
Good afternoon. My name is Kelly Hester. I'm a Master's Research student at IT Sligo, and today I will talk about my research into the student wellbeing online support tools, while Geraldine Gilroy, an IT counsellor, will highlight how they are integrated into the counselling service. So this project is in partnership with the Innovation Opportunities Transforming Education iNOTE project, a multi-international higher education partnership with IT Sligo, LYT and GMIT, Work Package 3. Mental health is defined as being able to cope with normal pressures and disappointments that life can bring, having a sense of worth and fulfillment while being affiliated to and contributing to society and community. Wellbeing, the definition of wellbeing as defined by Dodge et al. 2012, is a balancing act or flow within each human, in this case the student, to encounter and overcome difficulties. Just like a seesaw, it is the balancing point between a student's psychological, social and physical resources and the psychological, social and physical challenges faced in higher education. Meaning that if a student has more challenges than reserves, the seesaw dips along with their well-being and vice versa. So mental health difficulties can occur at any time, and these can include depression, anxiety, panic attacks, trouble sleeping, substance abuse, and so on. It can range from mild, moderate to severe. So heavy workloads, competitive environment, burnout, financial worries, loneliness, relationship difficulties, bereavement, poor body image, the current COVID-19 circumstances can lead to symptoms of mental health difficulties within students. Reports show that college students are struggling with mental health and well-being. The National Student Mental Health Survey highlighted that out of 3,300 students in higher education, 32.2% of students were diagnosed with mental health distresses over their lifespan. 20% of these students reported that they had no one to talk to regarding their distresses, and students relying on loans reported that 52% were highly anxious, 36.5% highly depressed, and 25.5% highly stressed. 28.1% of the 3,300 students reported having a disability, of which 58.7% experienced extreme levels of anxiety, 29.9% depression, and 17.3% stress. And an underlying theme in this report was the students' feelings of helplessness in asking and receiving support that they need. Students felt there was a shortage of supports available when they were trying to seek help. Additionally, the Open University reports that from a survey of 584 students regarding enablers and barriers to wellbeing and distant learning, 33.35% found isolation negatively affected their mental health. 40.6% reported that those with mental health condition also struggled with communication skills, while 71.9% of students reporting a mental health condition found assessments were a problem to their mental well-being. Bieter et al. Reported that out of 374 undergrads, the top 3 concerns of students experiencing depression, anxiety and stress was academic performance, pressure to succeed and postgraduate plans. While the statistics show that higher education students are struggling, many barriers remain for students seeking help. These include embarrassment and stigma, discrimination and exclusion that may arise as a result of mental distresses. Students can perceive that stress and anxiety is actually part and parcel of college life and not seek help. Many do not have mental health literacy to identify their need for psychological assistance. Inconvenience, time, scheduling issues and costs can all be a barrier for students seeking help. There is, however, evidence that early intervention reduces psychological distresses. As a result, there are now greater efforts regarding students and interventions to assist in and improve the mental health and well-being among higher education students. To support the management and maintenance of students' mental health and well-being, IT Sligo are providing all students the opportunity to engage with digital psychological intervention programs. The first one is Epigene's Being Well, Living Well, and the second one is Silvercloud's Health Wellbeing in Education. The interventions distributed on modes such as internet web pages and on mobile devices provide an accessible and convenient way for students to seek and avail of safe and accurate psychoeducational and mental health care. Interventions occur as students, through their Moodle page, access practical wellbeing tips, support tools and online counselling by engaging with the applications to suit their timetable to meet their individual needs. So this is in contrast to a student struggling alone. The two platforms offer a supportive environment. So Being Well, Living Well is a new online toolkit produced in partnership with mental health authorities and higher education students and staff, using a preventative method to assist college students. Located on the student Moodle page, it addresses mental health and wellbeing topics unique to both undergrad and postgrad students. With interactive and animated scenarios, it also directs students where to seek further help if needed. The toolkit is presented within 4 strands with 17 micro courses. They are entitled Living Well, Feeling Well, Staying Safe and Spending Well. The second support is SilverCloud Health, Wellbeing in Education, also located on the Moodle and counselling web pages. This is an established, confidential, internet-based digital mental health system that delivers online therapeutic and psychoeducation programs established in conjunction with Trinity College. This provides 8 sessions of CBT treatment for common health issues as depression, anxiety and stress. It addresses students' thoughts, emotions and behaviour, and students can track these. And program consists of tools such as My Journal, mindfulness exercises and my TFB cycles. So the key here is for students to independently use the tools after each session and continue to use them in the future. So the overall aims and objectives of my research is to determine if and how students' mental health and well-being has improved as a direct result of using Being Well, Living Well and SilverCloud, to examine if and how students believed there was an improvement in their college life academic success, to determine if the availability of this encouraged help-seeking behaviours, to compare the experiences of students who are learning online, emergency remote blended and on campus. The current research is assessing 3 cohorts of students. Number 1 is online students will have access to the psychological supports that are equivalent to those previously only accessible to online students. 2 is on-campus students as COVID-19 emergency remote learners, and then 3 is on-campus students. This research will conduct a comparison of the experiences of assessing and availing of the 2 online support programs, comparing students who are remote on-campus learners compared to students who are online learners. This research will apply the Biopsychosocial Model by Engel. It posits that an individual's well-being and thus their behaviour are influenced by the interconnection of biological, social and emotional risk factors. For instance, the social factors can include environmental, cultural and family characteristics unique to each higher education student. For example, Leham 2017 linked emotional dynamics such as loneliness, a lack of confidence, to causing physical distress and impacting one's physical health. A second theory is the self-determination theory by Decky and Ryan. So how this is seeing how students are motivated to use these programs. The theory advocates that by having 3 innate psychological components met within the biological, social and cultural environment produces proactive and engaged behaviour. So this research raises the question as to how then this theory fits with higher education students availing of digital psychological interventions. For example, if and how does the higher education environment produce proactive and engaged users or passive and alienated users? Quantitative data collection. So students who use either of the programs are invited to take part in 2 optional anonymous online surveys. The surveys are now live on Being Well, Living Well and SilverCloud Moodle pages, accompanied by information about the surveys. So before a student begins a program, they will be invited to take part in the first survey. The student is asked questions on demographics and their general mental health and well-being. After the student has completed a program, they will be invited to take part in a second follow-up online survey. Again, students will be asked questions on demographics, their general mental health and well-being, in addition to their experience and satisfaction of engaging with the Being Well, Living Well and SilverCloud toolkits. Students are also invited to take part in a semi-structured interview via Zoom or Teams designed to last approximately 1 hour to discuss how they found using Being Well, Living Well and SilverCloud. So, as this is an ongoing research, here are some Being Well, Living Well primarily data. In the last week, when asked in the last week if a student felt tense, anxious or nervous, 35.7% said often and 32.1% said sometimes. When asked if they felt they were able to cope when things went wrong, 25% said often, 46.4% said sometimes, and only occasionally was 10.7%. When asked in the last week if they had difficulty getting to sleep or staying asleep, 8.9% said most or all of the time, 32.1% said often, and 23.2% said sometimes. So here is what students have had to say about Being Well, Living Well. It made me feel it was normal to worry about money. It gives people an opportunity to express their feelings and emotions honestly and without judgment. It is an informative program that teaches us that it's okay not to be okay. Most importantly, it teaches us how to deal with change. I liked the section on mental health, as this is something I can struggle with from time to time. And preliminary results from SilverCloud. When asked if they were happy to use the computer, laptop, tablet or phone to access SilverCloud, 33.3% strongly agreed, while 25% agreed. And if this was if this provided a long-lasting effect, 33.3% strongly agreed and 25% agreed. So here's what students had to say about SilverCloud. I most like the fact that SilverCloud gave me a private space to put all my thoughts down the journal, and also made the journal entries accessible whenever I want. Combined with the facts and the background information you learn through the program, this tool has helped me the most with improving my mental health and general well-being. To be honest, I was very skeptical, but was pleasantly surprised by the content. I would have liked to have had this in first year. It is hoped that this research will inform an evidence-based approach to the adoption of digital mental health interventions for online students, while increasing help-seek behaviours within the student population. So I'm just going to hand over to Geraldine now.
Hi, my name is Geraldine Gilroy and I'm one of the counsellors that works in IT Sligo. And I'm just going to, so thanks Kelly for that research. It was even interesting for me to hear about it too, and for all your hard work. So yes, we support students that are having an issue with their mental health and well-being while they're in college, and we currently are offering a blend of support. So we meet people in person, and we offer online or telephone counselling. A student registers with our service, and in the registration form they'll say what their presenting issue is, and as Kelly pointed out, that USI survey is very accurate because the majority of students will present with anxiety, depression, and then maybe relationship issues as well, but anxiety, depression usually top the poll. And then of course, as a knock-on from that, there'll be sleep issues. So both online programs really complement our service. So we offer a fortnightly appointment. So I encourage students to engage with SilverCloud in between sessions. So, and as you can see, there's a very wide variety of programs that are very useful. And what I particularly like about SilverCloud is I use CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT for short, techniques with students, and SilverCloud is based on CBT. So that complements work I do in the room with the student. And I like the way they've split the anxiety into different types of anxiety. Social anxiety, which is now more prevalent because students have been off campus for a long time, and they're coming back onto campus, meeting with their classmates. They may not have met them. So it's wonderful to have this, I suppose, complementary online program for them on social anxiety. There's also the space for sleep. So in our intake, even on our intake form, we'll get information about presenting issues, but also about how it's affecting them, maybe their diet or their sleep. So when I hear sleep is an issue, I will refer them to Silver Cloud, and I'll make a note then so that I can ask them next time I meet them, well, how did you get on? Did you get a chance? Usually I'll say, did you get a chance to look at Silver Cloud? So it's like a reminder. And if I'm meeting them on Teams, I'll send them the link to Silver Cloud or Living Well, Being Well. So it's there for them, and as Kelly said, they can go back to it, look at it, and it's an interactive program, which is nice too. So there's a bit of variety in it. They're listening to people, they're listening to peers, and that's all helpful. Just as I said, to, I suppose, solidify what they may have heard from me, the psychoeducational tools I have given them. So I'll see what else about Silver Cloud that stands out for me, and then I'll talk a bit about Epigeum. What I like also is their program on body image, because often students, they may not be keen to delve into their issues with body image, and it's quite common with both males and females. And there's a lovely program on Silver Cloud about positive body image. And it's a private platform for them to learn and read about it, and that's useful. So where they may not have highlighted body image initially in the session, once they go into Silver Cloud, they can see, oh gosh, there's more options here, and they've added that space from COVID, and that space from COVID is useful. And also the space from health anxiety, because with COVID, I think there has been a lot of health and anxiety issues raised for people. So I suppose that's generally my take on Silver Cloud, is that it's very much a supplement to my work here with the students, and it's also a lovely program for them to engage with between sessions. And then looking at Epigeum, their program, I find their consent program ties very nicely in with the consent framework and the active consent program that's been rolled out. And they've very good information about healthy relationships. So, and that's another issue that does come up in the counselling room. So it's nice for them to do a bit more research on what is a healthy relationship. And they hear on Epigeum, they'll hear from their peers and what other students say. And that's nice too. So that it normalizes some of their feelings and their thoughts, and that helps as well. With Epigeum, they have a really good resource bank, so that especially for the studying well. So academic issues come up, students feeling overwhelmed by their course content, their demands of the course, and there's been an awful lot, I suppose, of changes, with courses because of COVID, and that causes anxiety and overwhelm. So Epigeum have wonderful tools like time management, and they'll have a link to a day planner, or is it the Pomodoro technique, and they're all there as a resource for them to click on and to have, so that it's all in one package for them to improve, say, their study skills, and that's very helpful too. I suppose also students who would never want to attend the counselling service, these are very good programs that they can, engage in. There is still a stigma with some students about attending the counsellor. So I think these are great for students. Our students, online students who are outside our jurisdiction, where we only, you know, are, I suppose, enabled to provide services to students within Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. So students who are studying abroad have access to these. So I think that's wonderful that the college are providing those. So I think that's all I meant. You know, I wanted to say the programs I've studied and looked at them, they're very well researched. And that's reassuring, and it, you know, gives me confidence referring students to them. They're evidence-based, and they change. You know, I've seen, you know, over even since I started looking at them, they've added bits like the COVID anxiety, you know, about COVID. You know, so it's like the developers are constantly upgrading and updating to meet the need of students. So I think that's all I have to say, unless you have any questions for me.
That's very interesting, Geraldine and Kelly. Thank you very much.